and welcome to another episode of The Owner's Box After Dark. I'm your host, Mark Farinella, the former assistant sports editor, Patriots beat writer, sports columnist, award-winning individual, and basically nice guy at a newspaper here in southeastern Massachusetts. And this is episode 49.
No, it is not. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Pre-recorded Mark. Hello, everybody. Yes, indeed. This is The Owner's Box After Dark. That's the best I can do for the reverberation. But as you can see, you can read it off my shirt. The Owner's Box After Dark. And this is episode 50. Yes, we have an anniversary. This is... Well, you'd think that if we were going to do an anniversary show here, by the way, yes, indeed, I am your host, Mark Farinella, and I was all those things that guy said. Terrible job of lip syncing, though. But if you think we're going to do an anniversary edition of the Owner's Box to mark the completion of our first year, then you'd think I'd want to do something special, right? Yeah, well, if we were home in Fulton Pond Studios in Mansfield, Massachusetts, and we were recording in our studio setting, well, perhaps we could do something a little bit more special. But we've gone back to our roots, and our roots for this particular podcast were in North Falmouth, Massachusetts, when I was vacationing last year. Today is Friday, July 16th, 2021, and the first episode of The Owner's Box After Dark was recorded on July 13th, 2020. And as I said, this is the 50th episode, and, I've cranked them out over the year. In fact, they were easier to crank out than my audio podcast, which is just called The Owner's Box. But I've had a lot of fun doing these, and as you can probably tell, the production values got a lot better as the year went along. So I am just very happy, though, to be able to put together a little episode here where it all began and keep things going so you don't think I disappeared or something. I had a guy say something nasty to me the other day. He said that I was commenting on a story in my former newspaper, and this guy said, "Oh, I thought you died of colon cancer." Nice guy, huh? Haven't gotten there yet. Hopefully won't. But yeah, I am 67, so time is fleeting at this stage of the game, and as you can see, I'm a little beat up right now. Vacation, I just sort of let myself go. But anyway. That was pretty impressive, the way you should have seen the first edition. The first edition lasted 16 minutes and 8 seconds. And if you've been following these, you know they've gotten a lot longer ever since. But it was kind of fun. My first topic on this thing was most of the episode was spent talking about a television show I had just watched. In fact, I had just watched the first episode of HBO's miniseries called Perry Mason, which was a different take on the lawyer hero of the television series by the same name that was shot in the late 1950s and was televised on CBS. This was set in the 1930s, and it is before Perry Mason became a lawyer. In fact, he was a private detective and down on his luck. And I think it was 8 episodes or 9, the story arc kind of showed him getting into that situation where he could become the almost incredibly infallible lawyer that he was later in life. Now, the producers of the miniseries, who included Robert Downey Jr., said that it was not a prequel. But, I'd like to think it was, because it gave a new, it fleshed out this character. And, if you remember the old Perry Mason series, as I do, or you can just watch it on reruns. It's on all sorts of channels on cable. You can find it just about anywhere, or on any of the new streaming services. You sit there and you see, well, this guy never lost a case. Actually, he did lose 4 of them over the entire span of the case of the television series. But it was so funny to watch the evolution of the younger Perry Mason, and you find out that he had post-traumatic stress syndrome because he had rough experiences in World War I. You figure another 20 years down the road, maybe he could be this superhero, and which he became in the television series. So I'm eager to see what they do with season 2. The only thing I didn't like after the first episode, because I was intrigued right off the bat, and I knew I was going to want to follow it through the entire run of the series, and I did. The only thing I was upset about was that they did not use the theme song, the iconic theme song of the television series. Now, I would run a sample of it right now, but I've been getting in some trouble with YouTube lately about copyright violations. Even when I get music from a clearinghouse that says it's all, doesn't require a license, it's all just compositions that are used in movies and stuff like that, that's just filler music and stuff like that. I got one complaint from a copyright holder because I did a recording at MacTaz Field at King Philip Regional High School, talking to my good friend Glenn Farley, the other play-by-play voice of the King Philip. I'm the play-by-play voice of the King Philip football team, and Glenn is the color commentator. And we were doing an interview before a game, just to kind of for one of these podcasts. And the background music that was playing, and at ear-shattering volume, was chosen by the coach, Brian Lee. And he picked stuff he liked, and it was so loud and so omnipresent that, it sounded like I used it as background music. Well, I challenged the copyright claim and told them exactly that. I said I could not prevent it from coming over my into my soundtrack, and they dropped the complaint. Now I got another one recently for some music I got from a clearinghouse, which was just a little bit of background banjo, which what I didn't know is it's like their copyright is held to that music in about 150 countries, none of which are the United States of America, but they are trying to, I don't know how much it would cost me. It probably wouldn't cost me much, but they're trying to squeeze some money out of me. So I've challenged that one. I haven't heard anything from them yet, but so I'm very careful about what I choose. The theme music is something that was chosen off the Universal Studios clearinghouse for unlicensed music that you don't need to, pay anybody royalties to, allegedly. So hopefully we'll never have any trouble with our theme music because I actually like it. And anytime you might hear a few other things in there, there's stuff that I've been very careful to pick that they won't be violating any copyright. So I would play the music da 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 da. Okay, I sang it. Now, we'll see if they get pissed off at me for that, okay? Anyway, I was a little upset that they didn't use that, but I suggested in the commentary that I made that maybe they would. Maybe they'd find a way to work that music in. And lo and behold, the closing theme for the last episode of this, I think it was 9-episode run, whatever it was, of the first season, they had an updated version of that iconic theme, and I loved every minute. I was standing in my living room cheering because that was the famous music. I mean, that was great, and so I'm really glad they did that. So that was pretty much most of what I talked about in that first episode. A little history of the Owner's Box After Dark. Let's see here. I did 8 episodes of that initial style of podcast in the first 2 weeks of its existence, which was basically me sitting here in this dining area on the table, laptop, mostly with the up my nose view, which because the laptop was sitting on the table and I was sitting well above the camera. And so I did 8 episodes in the first 2 weeks. The first one I did in the home studio, which was, of course, already set up for the use of my audio podcast, which is called, again, The Owner's Box. And that was the birthplace of all these podcasts that I love doing. That first home episode appeared on August 1st, and that was episode 9. And that one actually lasted 28 minutes because I actually added theme music at the beginning, closing theme, opening. Well, you just saw the updated version of the opening screen that I have the title card. And then you'll see a version of the credits at the end of this one. And, it was great because I got software to put graphics in, to put titles and stuff like that, to be able to edit the video and take out the hitches and put in still photos and some other video to go along with it, like highlights of the games that I covered over the years. Later on, I started putting in the Japanese commercials that I think you all love. I know I love them. I get a kick out of them. I really think they're great. So episode 16, which appeared on September 10th, was the first time I did a split-screen interview with somebody. The first time I actually had a guest on the Owner's Box After Dark. And that was baseball writer Maureen Mullen, who's been a 2 or 3, guest on the Owner's Box, the original one. And she came on, and what I started doing with that was I started being able to record video with the person in the screen, and then I would be able to use some of that for both podcasts. I'd use the split screen for this one, for the Owner's Box After Dark. See? And I would do the audio part and maybe a little bit longer of the audio part for the audio podcast. So the problem with that first one, was that Maureen and I used Zoom, and what I found out, to my horror, was that I could not take a copy of that Zoom recording and just slap it into my software, which I think is called Corel Video Pro. And if anybody uses it or knows anything about that, could you please let me know if that's possible, if I did something wrong, because I could not use that split screen. So what I had to do was I had to put it up on my big computer screen and record it with a camera and therefore use the video I recorded of the video as it was playing. So it looks a little cockeyed, but I got much better at it as it went along, and I've had several guests on since. And one time the split screen didn't work, so my face was a little inside a tiny little box somewhere up in the corner somewhere. Looked like I was hanging on the wall of the kitchen of Foxborough girls basketball coach Lisa Downs. But other times it's worked just great, and I've been very, very happy that I can add that aspect. So the Owner's Box After Dark is a much slicker production now. I mean, I think basically once I got to the end of September, and episode 18 lasted, I think, about 46 minutes. And that's when I really kind of hit the stride of what I wanted to do, and have a kind of a complete thing. Would have an opening little discussion, talk, and happy talk at the beginning. And we'll get into some topics as the time would go. I would review the Patriots games. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that since I've given up my role as a part-time writer for the Associated Press, but you never know. I mean, I've been around the team for so long, I probably should have a few comments here and there. And so once I got to that point, I think the longest one was episode 30 at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 6 seconds of me just blabbering. And that was a bit too much. Since then, I've really settled on the 45 to 50 minute range, and I think it works really well. And I hope you folks are enjoying it, because I'm really enjoying doing it. Now, this episode is going to be considerably shorter because I don't have the lead in. I'm going to have a fake credits at the end. Well, they're old credits, but they'll basically reveal all the people that work here. I don't have the opportunity to edit in a commercial tonight, or 2 as I use sometimes. And just basically, I just wanted to let you know that after 49 previous episodes, I'm still here. 50 is here, and once we get home and do 51 or maybe 52 by that time, because I might do another one next week, I just wanted to make sure that continuity continues. A little redundant, but that's kind of the point. Well, the other thing I had in the first episode was something I do when I vacation because I'm bored most of the time. I've taken up this habit of what I call counting cars. And what that means is that I will be sitting in my car driving someplace, usually from North Falmouth to Mashpee, because that's where I shop and that's where most of the decent restaurants around here are and such. And so I'll be in the car, I'll be driving down Route 151, and most of the time I will have either my cell phone or a nice little system that I've hooked up here, and if I can get it untangled from all these cords on the table. This is my old audio recorder, digital audio recorder by Sony, and it's seen quite a few miles on it. I think I got this one for at least one of the last two Super Bowls I covered, maybe a little bit earlier than that, in fact. So we're probably going back to 2012 or somewhere around this one. So this one's had some life in it, and it's still working quite well. But what I do is I hook up a couple of lavalier microphones. It's actually a 2 stereo Sony. It's a cheap one. I've had some better ones, but I think they're under a pile of stuff at home, and I didn't. Yeah, so this one's nice. It clips on, and I can talk normally as I drive, either in the top down on the convertible or in the other car, or I can just put the cell phone, which is excellent. I now have an Apple iPhone 12, and that thing picks up sound beautifully because I can just put that down on the seat or in the little cup holder thing I have, and that way I am not holding on to something and recording. So what I do is, as I'm driving, I just look and see the cars that pass me. And if there are not too many of them coming too fast, they aren't distracting to me. So I can just immediately just rattle off the country of their origin. I don't go into brands or anything like that. But I will, and again, the country of their origin is a little iffy these days because there are some asterisks to all this. Basically, I say the country where they are identified as being from. But they're not always from there. Like right now, Volvo is owned by an Indian company, I believe. And so I don't say India for them. I say Sweden for them. The same thing with any of the most popular British cars right now. Most of them aren't made in Britain, or at least they're not owned by British concerns. But, a Mini Cooper, a Range Rover, whatever the case may be, you still think of them as England. I do too. Anything from Chrysler. From Dodges to Chrysler vans to trucks to Jeeps, they're all owned by Fiat. I'm not going to call them Italian cars. I'm sorry. They used to be owned by Daimler-Benz, and they were I wasn't going to call them German cars then either. So yeah. So for the most part, though, it's what you identify the cars as being. So I'll just shout off as a car goes by. I'll say Japan and U.S. Germany, Sweden, Korea, U.S., Japan, and sometimes they go by really fast, and that's why I have to be a little careful. In fact, I think I slow down a little bit in my driving just so I can do that without. I'll just say that Route 151 from Falmouth to Mashpee is a straight shot, but a lot of people get killed on that road for some reason. Because they're either drunk, they're coming back from a bar, and they just run off the road, or they kill somebody else. So I just want to take it easy there. The speed limit is actually 55, I think, or 50 all the way down. So I take it a little easy while I'm doing that, and I make sure I'm not holding up a line of cars either. So usually the results are about, I want to say, let's see. I've actually done it during this vacation again. I think usually you see, lately it's been a real uptick. I mean, originally when I first started doing this, I maybe had to have maybe 170 to 200 cars go by. I've done it 3 times while I've been here. And once it was 363, another time it was 455. So as a result, what's the other time? Wow, that was a big one too. 460 the first time. So yeah, that's a lot of cars that are rattling off while I'm recording. Now sometimes I do the whole round trip too, but still it's a lot of cars. So the first time I did it, I actually got results of, and I won't break down everything, but I think the first time I actually attempted it and did it on episode 1 of the Owner's Box After Dark. I think we had 43.6% of the cars were Japanese, from Japanese makers, and 39.1% were from American, and then the rest were all from all over the joint. Mostly, and Germany was in third place, as we of the German car persuasion usually are. Now, I've done it 3 times during this vacation. Monday was the 460. Tuesday was 363, and then Thursday was 455. So for a total so far of 1,278 cars that I've counted while passing, that going by me in the other lane. And basically those numbers are still about the same. Japan, 43.1%. U.S. 37.8%, Germany 11.1%, Korea 4.2%, Sweden 2.1%, the UK cars 1.6%. I think I had one Alfa Romeo pass me, so one Guinea. I'm Italian. I can say that. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. Now, the first day I was down here, there was actually the first, I think only about in the last few years, I think it was only the second time or third time that the U.S. actually won the daily competition. And there were like 191 cars to Japan's 179, 55 Germans, Koreans 19, UK 10, Sweden 6, and nobody else. What this all tells me is that you see a big influx of the luxury type vehicles down here. So that's why the numbers for the German cars tend to go up a little bit, but they still don't crack maybe more than 12%. So, and of course, there are tons of Toyotas, of Subarus, a lot of Subarus. Fewer Nissans than I expected. Then, you get a few other makes here and there, but a couple of Mitsubishis. I was surprised the Korean cars weren't as high as I thought. More Kias than Hyundais, though, I noticed too. But they seem to be creeping up a little bit, and there's still a lot of Volvos out there. I saw one Saab. Of course, Saab, I don't think they're even being made anymore anywhere. But yeah, it's still interesting to see how the market has changed over the years, and I believe that the Japanese makes are getting a little bit more competition from Americans in certain areas, certainly more American trucks, many more pickup trucks. See a lot more German SUVs, and that's a very interesting thing to keep an eye on. And so that's basically how I bide my time down here. Yeah. I have, well, the problem is, and you folks have heard this before, and I'm not going to, beat you over the head with it, but I have appointments coming up with my surgeon for my knee issues are still bad. I'm having a real hard time getting around down here, and in fact, I've actually been using a cane a lot of times to help me out. I'm having issues in the right knee as well as the left knee. The left knee was the one that was surgically repaired. The right knee is wearing out as well. So I'll talk to them. They gave me this gigantic, this metal. I mentioned Robert Downey Jr. before. He would like this metal brace they gave me for my left knee. The only thing he'd say is he could add probably a couple of blasters and some propellers. I mean, a couple of things to propel it through the sky, rockets or something, because, hey, he was Iron Man, right? That's what it looks like, basically, when I put it on. And it hurts like hell. I don't know if it really, maybe it helps me a little bit if I put it in the right place. It's just such a hard thing to get on the right place on my knee, and then to strap everything up so it stays there. In fact, what you can't see right now below the camera is that I have ice packs on both of my legs right now, on both of my knees. And at least it feels a little bit better. But I haven't been able to walk much. The weather has been awful most of this week. I had I think I got down here last Saturday. I've actually been back home once because I had to do some financial jockeying around a few things. As you can see, I haven't shaved during the period of time since I've been here. I think I'm going to probably shave tomorrow morning. But every day, cold and rain, cold and rain. Now, I don't really mind because, let's face it, somebody asked me, oh, don't you feel terrible? Your vacation, the weather's so awful. And I looked at them and I said, I'm retired. Every day is a vacation for me now. I mean, I'm not, I'm not missing any work. I'm not missing anything at all. The only thing I missed was my studio, which for the podcasts. And I cranked out quite a few of them just before I left anyway. So I'm kind of happy we had some productivity there. So it's the only thing that really bothers me, and this is something I've noticed, and maybe this is a result of the pandemic supposedly ending, although, as we'll talk about a little bit later, I'm not so sure it's over. In fact, I actually wore a mask when I went to Walmart and I went to the 2 supermarkets nearby today because I'm getting a little worried about this Delta variant, but I'll talk about that later. The point I was trying to make was that I'm not, this is vacation is fun, but I'm getting a little bit old for certain things. Maybe it's not, I can't cavort around the beach like a young man chasing after the lovely young ladies, and most of them are only about 13 years old anyway, so I certainly can't chase that. I just and I've noticed that people seem to be angry down here. First of all, this week is much busier than it would normally be in the other years that I've come down here. And I think it's a pandemic reaction. I think that people were tired of being in their homes, and so they've bound and determined to be down here. And they have been. So they're all walking in the middle of the street on the one road that goes down to the beach here. They don't move out of the way. They look at you cross-eyed if you drive past them at 16 miles per hour. And, the kids aren't being taught to watch where they're going on their bikes. And just too many people. I love this place, and I have for 40 years. My friend Alex Salaki, who you've met, owns it and rents it to me for the summertime, or 2 weeks in the summer. And I love it, but I'll tell you one thing, I love this area more in the off season. And especially now that I'm seeing this influx of a new, younger, more, what I call them, they're entitled generation. They think that, they don't have to move over for a car. In fact, from what I understand down here, the New Silver Beach Improvement Association wants to change a lot of the roads. They want to make them one way. They want to put giant speed bumps in. They want to have giant bike lanes. In fact, and eliminate a lot of the parking down by the beach. And look, I'm sorry, I don't think I can walk long distances, at least right now. We'll see what happens as we go down the road here, and maybe we can get some of these issues fixed. But I am looking, I'm old. I'm going to be older. And it bothers me to think that I may not be able to get a parking space within reasonable. I cannot walk the half mile right now to the beach. And I'm sorry, I feel terrible because I can't. I want to be able to, but I can't. So the younger folks are taking over. I guess that's a natural part of life. It probably shouldn't concern me all that much, but that's the situation in a nutshell here. So as we continue on, episode 50 of the Owner's Box After Dark. No Japanese commercial tonight. I mentioned that before. I can't edit it in. I do get a kick out of those, though. I mean, sometimes they're just so funny because they're so manic, and they you watch them and you think that, holy crap, how, even if you understood Japanese, sometimes you wonder if a sane person could even follow what's going on. But I don't know. I'm not Japanese. I don't understand their culture. Perhaps God bless them. They make great cars, for the most part, and most of our better electronics are made by them instead of the Chinese. And I have no issues one way or the other. I just can't understand their commercials, but I love watching them. So that's why I throw some of these up. They're up there on the internet. They're easy to find, and I just, if I'm breaking any rules, I don't know that, but the products, if I'm selling some of their products to somebody who might end up going to Tokyo or something like that, then hey, you made out. Somebody bought a something or other, a bottle of something like hair shampoo. That was one of the commercials that ran recently, of a bunch of guys with samurai swords, marching down a street while everybody's playing basketball around them and playing saxophones and there were bikers in it too. And all the bikers started shampooing because they were really excited about this stuff. So anyway, I love that stuff. I did find one really great commercial that I threw into an episode a while back, and I'd like to find some more like that, but that oftentimes their recording quality is not good. But you might remember the 1963 Chevrolets were being introduced, and all of the models that they had, and all the things they were talking about the optional equipment. You can get a clock. It's optional equipment in the Spider package of the Corvair. But the Corvette Stingray sure looked good. I'd love to have a 63 Corvette convertible. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, I did all right. I'm doing fine in that regard, so I don't have to worry about it. Since I'm going to wrap this one up, because, again, me talking continually is not exactly what you want to hear, I will mention to you that you can give me feedback on the much better episodes that I do at home in Fulton Pond Studios in Mansfield, Massachusetts. In fact, don't write any letters about this one. I know it's piecemeal. I know it's terrible. I know I'm looking down all the time here at the microphone. I did get a nice light, though, for down here. It's pretty cool. I just mentioned right now, you can send me emails at No, it's not www. I do this all the time. I have to edit this out of the other episodes. My email address is theownersbox2020@gmail.com. theownersbox2020@gmail.com. The snail mail address is the Owner's Box, Post Office Box 272, Mansfield, Massachusetts, 02048. Remember that, Post Office Box 272. I just paid them for another year of it, so send me mail. I've gotten a few letters. I'm very appreciative of anything that I've gotten. Believe me, it's great to get feedback. And I want you to check out my website, which is theownersbox2020.com. Now, on that website, I do link to all of my good audio and video podcasts. I write columns like I used to for that daily newspaper in southeastern Massachusetts that I've taken to not mentioning by name. I enjoy writing still, and I had a couple of stories I think that might actually have merit to people if they are interested in local sports, as I tend to write mostly about, as I did for 41 years. And I've got restaurant reviews. I have all sorts of exciting stuff that's on those web pages. I need to write a restaurant review from down here, but I haven't gone to a restaurant yet. So I will shortly, I'm sure. I've been just cooking at home. It's more fun. So please do that. Now, these are on YouTube, as you know, and you can subscribe to my channel, which I think is under my name, Mark Farinella. Just go to YouTube and search for The Owner's Box After Dark. And if you do that, you'll find my channel, and you can subscribe, and then you can watch all the episodes, you can rate them, you can review them, and let me know if you like them or not. I know I'm getting views. I know people are watching them. I just would like to hear from you folks. Let me know how you like the better ones. The ones with all the nice graphics and the production values and the added still photos and video that you didn't see tonight. And as for the audio podcast, and I've really been proud of that. Since I started the Owner's Box in October, on the last day of October, on Halloween of 2019, I've gotten lots of views, lots of hits. I've gotten some great guests. I've got a lot of people are repeat guests, but it's because they like being on it. We have great interviews. I have the capability of taking that remotely now, go out on the road, interview people, and then put it all together on my computer, and I think it sounds great. And you can subscribe to those for no cost at all. It doesn't cost you anything, and it will be downloaded automatically to your smartphone. And you can do that from Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, the iHeartRadio.com, and the latest one, Odyssey, Audacy, which used to be radio.com, for those of you who wondered why I didn't mention that one. The same people who own WEEI in Boston, I believe. Yes. And so they now have taken over podcasting duties that used to be on radio.com, and it's easy to find. My podcast, pops right up on it. So you do that, you subscribe, doesn't cost you anything, and as you sleep at night, if I post one of these things, it goes automatically into your smartphone. It's there for you the next morning. Plug it into your car, listen to it while you drive to work. Good way to kill traffic up at good way you can listen to me and not have to worry about the traffic up on the Southeast Expressway or wherever you're going. So, and with that, one last thing that I like to mention always, especially as we are getting close to what we think is normalcy, I'm not so sure. In California right now, there's been a huge increase in the number of COVID-19 cases, the Delta variant. I jokingly said last week, Delta is ready when you aren't. It's a play on the famous slogan of Delta Airlines, which I'm sure they would not appreciate me appropriating that way. But it is scary right now to think that there's an outbreak and it's actually hitting younger people, which I'm kind of scared. I'm not scared about that because I'm 67 years old, but I'm scared for the younger people who are now more threatened by this than they were by the original COVID-19. So, and of course, we're about ready to start the Olympics in Japan, and they've already banned all fans because Japan has been really lagging behind in vaccination. And so as a result, there will be no fans attending these things. The country of Japan will lose billions of dollars because of the not just the cancellation of last year's originally scheduled games, but now bringing it over to this year. I just think that it's unwise to be having them, but they're committed, so they're doing it. And now there's a lot of athletes that's starting to pull out, don't want to go. Japan's a mess, and we'll see if what people bring back to their countries after they've been there. They say that the COVID Delta variant is in all 50 states now. The worst outbreaks have been, to this point, in the southern states, Florida, Texas, the usual suspects, Alabama, Mississippi, morons. But now California, and you figured California is a diverse state. A lot of people going in and out of it from wherever they're coming from. It's not a surprise that happened. And it'll probably pop up here shortly. So, as I said, I actually wore masks into supermarkets and to the Walmart down here because I just felt that I had to. There are big crowds in there. And, a lot of people looked at me cross-eyed because I was wearing one. And then I saw somebody else wearing one at the Walgreens I went into today. And I just said, maybe it's smart. We can be a little bit smarter about them and listen to the public officials about it. Keep using your hand sanitizer. Now, okay, this tiny little bottle gets refilled every day with a fresh bottle of Purell, which I forgot to bring over here to show you. But I keep that in my pocket at all times, and I use it religiously. I just want to say, please, just pay no attention to the idiots who claim this is, the vaccine is untested or it's some sort of communist plot, that we are all going to become automatons and be tracked in every movement and all that other happy horse shit that they say. Just please take care of yourself, do the smart thing, get vaccinated if you haven't already. Johnson & Johnson, I was a little afraid. I had that one. I was a little afraid because it was a little less effective against initial infection, but now they're saying it's better against the variants. So I'm going to still try to take precautions, and this is where it starts. This, and washing your hands, and paying attention to your surroundings. So with all that in mind, I thank you for watching tonight. We actually got 41 minutes out of that. How about that? And please come back whenever I have everything all nice and fancy again. Thank you for joining me tonight. And as I say at the end of every episode with my baseball announcer voice, good night, everybody. No, Missy wasn't on this one. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm really glad you joined me. Have a good one. Oops.
I'm not sure I understand.
Neither do I. Could you please continue my recording? Oh, that's why that happened.
I'm not sure I understand.
I don't either.